right?
Exactly. At the end of the day, it's just about making money, so they don't really care about how it's affecting the people who are using it.
Yeah.
And I don't know, it's a big issue, right? Because it's like the way to stop that is to like you gotta get the drugs off the street, right? Which is easier said than done. But it's also like you said, like which we were talking about with Maurice and the previous episodes. He was talking about like the housing is the housing issue as well, right? Like you were talking about. It's like there's not enough services for these people, and a lot of people are being left on the side, right? And then because they're being left on the side and forgotten about, they just get the issues that they have aren't being dealt with, and they're just getting falling into a deeper hole. And then you just see what these people out in society, right? And people get attacked and stuff like that.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Like it's a very very different ball game. Even if you're a 9 to 5er, you work nights, you work weekends, whatever, compared to like being a street person, that's like some next level.
Totally different life.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a totally different life, totally different priorities, and it's basically constantly in survival mode.
I'll be honest, man. I've never felt that. I don't know. I can't relate to that.
Yeah.
To be in survival mode all the time like that. Must be a sad mentality, you know.
Yeah. Yeah,
But they have no choice.
yeah, that's their reality, right? That's the reality that they're living in. And that's why I think the best thing to do in that situation, even somebody from me in my position of like in the ecosystem that is whatever social services, Toronto housing, I've talked to a lot of people in a lot of different levels, and it's just like, you know what? Best thing to do is get them out of the system, man. Get them housed, get them help. Everything else they can work on as they go. But for us, it's definitely housing first. Get them an apartment, get them a room, get them a home, right?
Then they can go from there. Start building.
Yeah, yeah. We start building up their capacity. We have follow up workers coming in and visiting the site just to see how the living conditions are, how the environment is.
You, personally speaking, as someone who's working in who works in that kind of like sector, right? What do you see are the biggest issues in terms of that? In terms of like drugs, addiction, mental health? Like, is it what we've been discussing, or is it worse than people are saying? Is it like just about like does the news portray how bad it is, or is it like under shown? You know what I mean? Or is it about right?
I think it's about right. I honestly think it's
Yeah.
about right. I mean, there's obviously more that doesn't get reported, but overall, there's more and more like the ones you see on the news. Those are usually top level, like providers, fabricators, you know, all of that stuff.
Yeah. So the biggest solutions that you see is just like, is it working with these people individually, or getting them as a group and working with them collectively, and like, or is it like starting out from grassroots, like fundamental? Like, what's the biggest solution for this long term? You think?
Individually,
Yeah.
there ideally there would be an investment into certain services that give that intensive support to somebody that's transitioning, to somebody that's having a hard time, that can go to all these places like the shelters to come and visit the guys and check in, right? Um, and also just housing, man. How like housing needs to be more affordable because the thing is, a lot of
That's a big problem, man.
Toronto's social services, they're centralized. So it's like, where are you gonna live if all of your doctors, all of your appointments, all of your meds, they're all downtown,
Oh yeah, that's a good point.
right? Like, and I'm not talking about like going to get like a prescription for your
Right,
Tylenol
right.
3. I mean, like going to see your specialist, going to see your therapist, going to see whoever, right? And like
Yeah.
these are the people I think if we can catch them earlier, like get them assessed quickly, give them attention, we can get them out of that shelter, because it will there it will improve their medical health.
right?
But yeah, man, that's what I think would be the way forward. Just more investment into affordable housing, social housing. Um, maybe re-examine how things are done in terms of like the LTB. Just check up on them, the landlord tenant board. Maybe review the Landlord Tenancy Act just to see if there's any ways that we can help out the tenant a little more. Although right now, it's on a tangent, it is a buyer's market.
Yeah, you know what? I think, like, in my opinion, I think it's like you were saying, right? Like, making sure you're dealing with everyone on an individual basis and their situation, because everyone's situation is different, and making sure people don't fall through the cracks, getting them the services they need, and just basically giving a crap, right? Not to use other terms, right? Like, about the person's life, right? About like this, like they're a human being, right? And they deserve to have a life that's worth living.
Yeah, yeah, and I think that's what it comes down to. Whether you're doing a frontline, whether you're a nurse, whether you're a teacher, I find that all these professions, what they have in common is you gotta be prepared to give unconditionally, right? Some guy like may be a jerk with me. I'm still gonna give him his sandwich. I'm gonna still give him food. That doesn't mean he's gonna stop eating. That doesn't mean I'm
Exactly.
gonna stop caring. Like, yeah, he may yell at me. Oh, why are you making me stand up? Oh, I don't like you. Blah 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 blah. Right? But it's just like, listen, it's not personal, man. And if you want to talk, I'd be more than happy to talk. Right? Because like the other thing I've noticed is a lot of these people, they're they're not armed with the adaptability or with the tools to be able to adapt to life. Right?
Yeah, life skills.
Yeah, yeah, and it can be life skills like negotiating, like de-escalating, like emotional
Composure.
management. Yeah, yeah, emotional management, composure, right? Like I feel composure is the stuff that comes from being able to manage emotions or just having
Yeah,
like I guess it could be coined like emotional education to
exactly.
know, what, I feel this, I'm going to think this and this is going to happen, right?
Exactly. Even that's even tough for even regular people that apparently quote unquote don't have anything wrong with them. You know what I mean? Like I'm talking about like emotional outbursts, anger management. That's a big thing, right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it's like even a lot of like quote unquote normal people don't have that under control. So imagine those people even less so, right? Especially if they're under the influence all the time of something.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, there's levels of functionality, I suppose. Like whether you're addicted or this or that or just, you have a lot of stress, right?
That could be it too. That could be it too. It's also kind of like I feel so. For your situation, like how you're dealing with these people, you're saying that you have to give them what they're like a sandwich or drinks, even though how they act with you, right?
Yeah.
Is there a point where like it becomes like a limit, or like does it matter what they do or say, or is like how do you see that?
The only time it'll escalate to that is when they become a danger, actual harm to
Yeah,
themselves or others. And I'm very, very
then it's something
particular.
else.
I'm very particular on choosing when to act on when somebody's just inconveniencing to when they're having a psychotic break,
Yeah,
right? Because it's one thing if some guy he just wants to talk to himself. It's like okay, he's gonna keep to himself. Or if he
yeah,
wants to do a handstand, it's like okay, just don't hurt anybody,
exactly. Because
right?
then you need to and then other people have to intervene, right? Once that happens.
Yeah, yeah, and it gets a little trickier because like in my profession, it in that specific location, they do have a strict hands-off policy.
Yeah.
So if anything were to happen, we just need to call the police, like only to evade or like protect ourselves.
De-escalate.
Yeah, yeah, and
Yeah.
the thing is, it's like if they're ready to fight, then we're already too late.
Yeah.
So
So
the,
I'd say it was too late for that guy on the subway yesterday. He was ready to fight.
oh man, who knows what he's going through, man? He probably just got kicked out of his place or whatever. Who knows?
Exactly. But like for me, what was interesting was just like he kept yelling cocaine and crack, right? So it's like, but who knows? He could be just saying that just to like, cause like attention or something, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Something else I was going to say was, do you think like that the law enforcement and everybody like that is handling mental health well? Do you think the politicians in the city are handling it well? Like, and also, do you think like this once this COVID situation is improves over time, will that help like the situation, or does it all really depend?
COVID has. I know that it seems like they're under stress because like they're displacing people in hotels and this and that, but honestly, being on the
Losing
front line,
businesses?
it's improved overall quality of service, quality of living for the people that work there and live there, right? So
Yeah.
maybe this is the new normal. We're not meant to have super shelters. We're not meant to have shelters that can house 600 men,
Yeah.
right? It's just it
That's
doesn't
the
work.
times now.
It doesn't work. I've been doing this for 6 years and it doesn't work. You need smaller shelters where you can have and build meaningful relationships with the clients and they're not just numbers.
Yeah.
Like what kind of work can you do if it's one staff for every 100 clients?
No, somebody's gonna get lost. You're not gonna give it attention to like somebody, You're gonna know like it's just not enough people, right, to deal with everyone.
Yeah, because to be honest, typically the average night before COVID, we were on an average of 96% occupancy every night.
Wow. Every night. Wow.
Every night. Every night. So
That's
it's like
something else, man.
and it's unfortunate that it becomes political because it's just like, well, wouldn't the solution be to build more of these shelters? But the question is where,
Yeah,
because
exactly.
they like to
Maybe in some of the
congregate.
places where they have all these condos. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah. So I think if anything, a great start would be to have a facility with a place specifically for smoking. Right? Whether it's tobacco or cannabis. Everything that's legal. Right?
Yeah. So, in the 6 years that you've been working there, do you see how do you see the situation? Is it slowly improving? Is it evolving? Is it getting worse? Like, what are your thoughts?
I see an improvement. It's just, it depends where one goes, but I find in like not-for-profits, it's a lot of waiting. It's a lot of waiting for funding or this project or that project to go through and get approved and whatever. Right?
Right.
Like somebody there that's been there for like double, triple the time that I've worked there. They're like, "Oh yeah, I had to wait 5 years to get a water fountain installed." I'm like, "Stop it.
Oh my gosh.
Stop these lies."
Yeah. You could just see right through that.
But it wasn't a lie.
That's the sad part, though. Many times, because you think it's like, that sounds so unbelievable, right? But then you just realize what these people are actually going through,
Yeah, and that's why I felt like, you know what? I gave it a go, and I tried to tackle some issues that I saw all at once. I was like, you know what? If I get access to a position that's a little higher